In the heart of the vast savannah stood the kingdom of Lushoko. It was a land blessed with fertile soil, flowing rivers, and towering baobab trees. The people of Lushoko worked hard, planting crops, herding cattle, and weaving cloth. They loved their land, but their hearts were heavy. The reason: King Mawingu. King Mawingu was cruel and greedy. He ruled with an iron fist, taking the best of everything for himself. The finest grains, the fattest cows, and the shiniest jewels all went to his palace. If anyone dared to complain, they would be locked away in his dark dungeons. One hot afternoon, as the sun beat down on the dusty roads, an old woman named Mawingu gathered the villagers under the shade of a large tree. "This cannot go on," she whispered, her voice trembling. "We are the hands that build this kingdom, yet we are treated like dirt." "But what can we do?" asked a young farmer named Juma. "The king's soldiers watch us day and night." Mawingu looked at the group. "Every wicked king falls eventually. If we are united, we can change our fate. But first, we must find a way to weaken his hold." The villagers nodded. Deep in their hearts, they knew she was right. That night, King Mawingu sat on his golden throne, feasting on roasted meat and sipping palm wine from a jeweled goblet. His loyal advisor, Joboli, stood by his side. "Your Majesty," Joboli began, "the villagers are growing restless. They murmur in secret." King Mawingu laughed. "Let them murmur. They are ants, and I am the lion. What can they do to me?" But outside the palace walls, a storm was brewing. Mawingu had a plan. She visited the mysterious healer, Zubri, who lived at the edge of the kingdom. "Zubri," she pleaded, "the king is draining the life from our land. We need your wisdom." Zubri nodded. "The king's strength comes from his greed. If we can show him the emptiness of his ways, he will falter." He handed Mawingu a small pouch filled with enchanted seeds. "Plant these near the palace. They will reveal the truth to him, but only if he dares to listen." The next morning, as the palace guards marched through the village, Mawingu and Juma sneaked to the edge of the palace grounds. They buried the seeds and whispered a prayer to their ancestors. By dawn, a mighty baobab tree had grown, its roots curling around the palace walls. Its bark glowed faintly, and its leaves shimmered in the sunlight. When King Mawingu saw the tree, he was furious. "Who dared plant this on my land?" he roared. But as he approached, the tree began to speak. "King Mawingu," it rumbled, "your greed has poisoned this land. Your people suffer while you feast. The ancestors are watching." The king stumbled back, his face pale. "Guards! Cut it down," he bellowed. But no matter how many axes struck the tree, it stood firm. The people of Lushoko watched in awe, whispering among themselves. News of the talking tree spread across Lushoko. The villagers grew bolder, inspired by the tree's message. They began to withhold their best goods from the palace, keeping them for their families instead. Juma organized secret gatherings where the people discussed ways to resist the king. Mawingu reminded them of their strength. "The tree has shown us the truth. The king fears us more than we fear him." Meanwhile, King Mawingu grew paranoid. He could not sleep, haunted by the tree's words. Even Joboli began to question his loyalty. "Perhaps," Joboli suggested cautiously, "it is time to listen to your people, your Majesty." The king glared at him but said nothing. One fateful evening, as the sun set over Lushoko, the villagers marched to the palace. They carried torches, drums, and the courage of a united heart. King Mawingu stood on his balcony, trembling. The talking baobab whispered in the wind, its voice rising above the chants. "This is your final chance, Mawingu. Relent, or the people will take what is theirs." The king refused to step down. "I am the lion. They are ants," he shouted. But the people of Lushoko were no longer afraid. They stormed the palace, their numbers overwhelming the guards. Joboli, seeing the tide turn, opened the gates. King Mawingu fled into the night, his golden crown left behind. As the dawn broke, Momonia stood at the palace steps. "This is the beginning of a new Lushoko," she declared. "Let us rule with wisdom and kindness, as the ancestors intended." The talking baobab nodded silently, its purpose fulfilled. And so, the kingdom of Lushoko was free once more. To be continued. What challenges will the people face as they rebuild? Find out in the next chapter of the Tales of Lushoko.